class. Today we're going to be going over properties of operations, activity sheet 2. As you can see, our first one says find the sum of 5 plus negative 7 plus 3. So we could do it like we did with the t-chart if we want. Put all the positives together first. If we do, we see that we have a positive 5 and a positive 3. And so we could rewrite this as 5 plus 3. 5 plus 3, oops, there we go, plus 3, and that is, let's see, and then minus 7. And if we do that, we can see this is going to be a little bit easier because 5 plus 3 is 8. And then minus 7 is going to be, well, we know that equals 1. So we can look at our options here, and we see that 1 is B. Move this a little bit so we can see that. And since 1 is B, we're going to go with the letter B being the correct answer. Alright, let's go ahead and move on. Next one we have is find the difference between 3 and 3 minus 4 minus negative 4. This gets a little bit trickier here. It says difference because we're subtracting here, and you notice whenever it says sum, we're always going to have the add and then put the negative numbers in parentheses. But these are negative out here, so it's going to ask us for the difference. So we're dealing with mostly negative numbers here. It would appear all of them, but let's go ahead and examine it further, shall we? If we see 3 minus 4, well, that's pretty simple. That's going to give us 4 minus 3, and then we keep the sign of the bigger one there, so that's going to give us a negative 1. Okay, and I'll just put that here for a second. And then, but we have a negative and a negative. Okay, remember I told you guys that counting your sticks, and a negative and negative, well, that makes positive. So we got a positive 4 here. And we have to remember, if we see a negative sign in front of a number in parentheses, it's like saying negative 1 in reality in front of it, okay? And negative 1 times negative 4, well, that's going to give us a positive 4, isn't it? So now our bigger number is 4. So 4, remember we can rearrange this. We could say negative 1 plus 4, or we could actually say 4 minus 1, right? And if we say 4 minus 1, well, that's going to give us 3. And as we can see, that's only going to give us one option, and that's answer A. So A would be the answer to number 2. Okay, moving on to number 3. This was pretty easy. It says use a number line to find the difference between 6 and negative 9. We went over this in class. If we go and start at 0 here, okay, and we go ahead 6, positive 6 on the number line, we end up here. But if we subtract 9, now we have to go back the same 6 we went, plus 3 more. 1, 2, 3. So our answer is practically given to us in this one as C, negative 3. Alright, let's go on and go to number 4. And we see that number 4 says find the product of 2 and negative 3. Well, once again, I told you guys count your sticks, and if right from the beginning we see we have one negative sign here. So we have to remember positives times positive equal negative. Let's go ahead and write that out. And I'm sorry, I have to apologize. I totally missaid that. Positive times positive equal positives. Negative times negatives equal positives. And positive times negative equals a negative. And we used a little trick of counting our sticks. If we have any left, we can't make a X or a plus sign anymore. See, like over here, we have a plus sign and one stick, so we can't combine the sticks to make another plus sign. So that means positive times negative equals negative, but a negative times a negative will equal positive. So let's work that in here, and if we see that we have a positive times a negative, so we know our answer is going to be negative. So let's just pop that in right off the bat. And if I do, that's negative. And then 3 times 2 we know is 6, so it's going to be negative 6, right? And that means our answer is A. So we'll go ahead and circle A there. And going on and using that same thing for number 5, it says find the product 4 times negative 3. Once again, positive times a negative is going to equal a negative. So that means I can come over here, and once again, I'm sure myself that it's going to be a negative number, and 4 times 3 we know is 12, so my answer is going to be negative 12. And if we look at our options, we see that once again A has to be the correct answer. So we'll circle A. Alright, on number 6 it says, it's a word problem, a submarine started at the surface of the water and was moving down at negative 15. Negative 15 kilometers per minute. Negative 15. So we'll type that in, and then as we read on, it says um, towards the ocean floor, the submarine traveled at this rate for 48 minutes before coming to rest on the ocean floor. What is the depth of the ocean floor? So in other words, we have to multiply uh, negative 15, the amount that we're traveling, by the number of minutes. So we're going to put times 48, and that's our equation. We have to figure out what that is. And if we work that equation, we can go and work it a number of ways, but let's use our trusty calculator here. And if we take negative 15, let's see, negative 15 times, let's see, times 48, and that's going to give us 720, negative 720. And as we see, there's only one of them up here for that option. That's option A. So we're going to circle option A right here, and there we go. And that would be our answer. Now another way we could have done this is simply by saying, we know that 5 times 8 is going to equal 40. And the minute we do that, we're looking for a number that ends in 0. And look at that. There's only one number that would have ended in 0. So that would have told us right there it was A. Alright, let's move on to question 7. Now as we go to question 7, we see that we've got some variables in here. Remember, variable is an unknown factor in the problem. So when we see 6x and we don't know what it is, we have to treat it differently than when we see 7 or the number 2. So let's work this out. Remember, we have to combine like terms. And if we're combining like terms, first we're going to see that we have a 6x and a 3x. Well, we know x is the same. So if x means apples, we have 6 apples plus 3 apples. And that's going to give us 9 apples, right? Okay, so we can say we have 9x. And now it says minus 7 plus 2. Now we could take that separately, and if we see we have negative 7 and a 2, we know that there's a difference there because one's positive, one negative, so we're going to go ahead and subtract. And since we subtract, we get 5. And if we get 5, we have to keep the sign of the bigger number. Let's not forget that. Let's keep that sign of the bigger number there, which means we are going to have a negative 5. Alright, so that's going to be 9x negative 5. And it's just that simple. Now if we go ahead and we look at our problem, we see that 9x negative 5 is going to be C. So that tells us that one right there. Let's go ahead and move on to number 8. And if we move on to number 8, we see that we have 10x plus 5 minus 4x minus 3. Once again, we have to combine like terms. This time they're not sitting next to each other, so they're trying to fool us. But we can see we have the 10x and the 4x here. So, but that's a negative 4 in front of that 4x. Okay? Remember, that's the entire number. So, really, we have 10 minus 4. And we already know what 10 minus 4 is. That's pretty simple. It's 6. So, we have 6x. Okay, now We can't combine that with the numbers because, again, x could be a car, it could be an apple, it could be anything. We don't know what it is, and we can't combine something that we don't know what it is with numbers. So if we have 6x, I'm just going to go ahead and erase this so it doesn't confuse us now. Now we're going to go ahead and see how many numbers we have. And what I see is we have 5 minus 3. If we have 5 minus 3, I think all of us already know that 5 minus 3 is 2. And since 5 is the bigger number, we keep the sign, which is positive. So it's 6x plus 2. And if we go and look for this again, we see that it's only one spot. And once again, C is our answer. Alright, we're at number 9 now. As we can see, number 9 says 5x plus 4y minus 3z minus 3x plus 2y minus 5z. So remember, we have to group everything together that's common. So let's go ahead and work with our x's first, shall we? And if I work with my x's, I'm going to go to my highlighter here so I can find them very easy. And if I do that, my x's are going to be my 5x and my negative 3x. Well, we already know that that makes 5 minus 3. I think we can pretty much tell what that one's going to be. So that's going to be 2x. Okay. Now, we could start saying, hey, that leaves us down to two possible answers here, but let's keep going forward to make sure we've got it all understood. So if we go again and we try to find, let's go with a different highlighter this time, all our y's, we're going to see that we have positive 4y, and we're going to see we have a positive 2y. Well, that's simply 4 plus 2, and we know what that is. It's going to be 6. So we can say that we have, since they're positive, we can have plus 6y. And already we already know the answer is going to be C because that's the only one that fits this description. But let's finish out the problem together. I'll go with one last highlighter, and we'll put this one in light blue. And let's find all our z's. We have a negative 3 z, and then we have a negative 5z. Well, we know when we add negative numbers, we're going backwards on the number line, so that's going to be negative 8z, because if I owe you $3 and then I owe you another $5, well, I owe you $8. So if z was dollars, then that'd be negative 8z. So let's put that on there, negative 8z. And as we already knew, that only leaves us number C here, or letter C as the answer, and we're done with that problem. Okay, the last one we have is number 10, and it says 2 times, looks like negative 5, and I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bigger so we can see that that is indeed a negative 5. Alright, and if we have a negative 5 plus 3, so it's 2 times negative 5 plus 3, and then plus 10. Alright, so let's go ahead and work this out. First, we have to remember to distribute our properties distribute our properties. So we have 2 times negative 5, and then we have 2 times plus 3. So 2 times negative 5, well, that's a positive times a negative, so that's going to give us a negative 10. And remember, we have to do parentheses first. So am I doing the right thing? No. And I want to go ahead and get you guys used to seeing that if you do it the wrong way, okay, it can lead you with the wrong answer. So let's go ahead and erase that now that we've gone ahead and seen our order of operations dictates that we have to use please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, right? Let's go ahead and put that on there. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Alright, and if we do that, parentheses comes first. So that means we're going to go ahead and do our parentheses. Negative 3 plus 5. Now, 5 is the bigger number, so it's really a subtraction problem. Since we have a negative and a positive, so that's 5, take away 3, and that's going to leave us 2. And if we remember correctly, we keep the bigger sign, all right? The number with the bigger sign, so it's going to be negative 2. Now this makes it a little easier. This rewrites our problem to 2 times a negative 2, okay, plus 10. All right, now we can easily see that we have 2 times negative 2. Well, it's a positive times a negative number, and that's going to leave us negative 4. Now remember, this isn't 2 minus 2. Because of the parentheses, this is a multiplication problem. So that makes a negative 4. Now we have negative 4 plus 10. And we can rewrite this. Remember, I can say I have a pencil and a marker, or I can say I have a marker and a pencil. So I'm allowed to swap these the same way as I made that statement, which means I can rewrite this as 10 minus 4. And we all know that 10 minus 4 equals 6. So we look around. Do we have an answer here? No, we don't. So this is one of those trick problems. I want to see if you guys can go ahead and see if there's an answer there or not. You would say none of these are the answers, and my answer is 6. Alright? So, just remember, if there's no options there, I want you to call me out on it. And occasionally I might even make a mistake and put the wrong thing. Please call me out on it. I will be glad to go ahead and give free candy for everyone that finds my trick questions in your assignment. Not all of them will have trick questions, but this one did, and I want you to get used to spotting them out. Okay? So, hope you enjoyed our lesson today, and see you in class.